Okay, let's talk defense now, because in any situation, rule of law or without rule of law, you know, the onus is really on the individual to defend themselves. The police may or may not be able to protect you. You know, people would argue even under the current system we have, when everything is working well, the police are never around to protect you. And I do know that that's sort of a hot button topic with the online community. So that being said, you know, you will notice that there's no gun included in my kit. That is because in Canada, I wouldn't be able to include a handgun in the kit. We're allowed to own handguns, but we have to store them in a very special way. They need to be locked down basically at all times that you're not using it. So even when you're on your way to the range or whatever, it has to be locked up in a special case. You're not allowed to bring them out into the bush. You're not allowed to conceal carry, and you definitely are not allowed to store them in your backpack, like sitting around your house. So it would be illegal for me to include a gun in that capacity, so I don't do it. That being said, I'll show you what I do have. So I've got a large bear spray here. This will shoot 30 feet for up to 6 seconds. So I see this as being a good option if you're surrounded by like a crowd of people who mean to do you, know, some harm. You're gonna spray and pray and then get the heck out of there. I definitely think that's a good thing to include because it is non-lethal. It comes with its holster here, and it has an attachment, so I could throw that on my belt or maybe attach it to my bag somehow and have it just ready to go. I also have a couple knives here. I've got a fixed blade Gerber Big Rock and a Cold Steel large Voyager clip point. I think knives are, you know, a very low-tech way of defending yourself, but very capable. You know, I carry a knife every day and I don't want to use it for defensive purposes. I really think that that would be quite traumatizing and not a preferred option at all, but the option is still there nevertheless. So I have a folder which I could clip to my pocket and have really accessible, and as well as a fixed blade. The last thing I'll say about what I've included here is I've got a slingshot. Obviously this is extremely low tech, and I know people are probably laughing right now. You know, I wouldn't depend on this definitely as a weapon. I think that you're not gonna come out ahead if you try to use that as a weapon, but it could be used for hunting, you know, or whatever. So it's a very like low tech option. I just threw that in there. Why not? I might take that out later. It's kind of a pointless item, but it's there nevertheless. The last thing I'll say though is that before you get to the point of having to defend yourself, what's upstairs in your mind will you know, be your first line of defense, right? Don't put yourself into a situation that you're going to need to defend yourself. Think ahead, de-escalate, run away. You know, there's a lot of options, and you won't be like Rambo or whatever, but you'll probably stay alive a lot faster than if you actually try to like fight people and defend yourself and stay in situations where it's going to be necessary to do that. So my preferred option would be to look low profile, don't draw attention to myself, and my bag really addresses that. It's very low profile, no camo, no tactical appearance, and that sort of goes along with my overall sort of style, I guess, as a person. So I would try to de-escalate, you know, avoid conflict, and then only if you really need to, then there are a few tools here to address that.